What's going on, guys? In today's video I have a short BFL recap video from this past weekend. We were able to walk away with the win, super blessed. It was an awesome day. I caught my personal best bag of spotted bass, which weighed 23 pounds and 3 ounces, anchored by 515 giant, almost a 6-pounder. It was an awesome day. I was throwing a lot of adversity and didn't even have a fish in the boat at 11 o'clock, but really picked things up after lunch. So in today's video, we'll jump into all the setups and baits, kind of locations, and why I went about things the way I did. So hopefully y'all learn a couple things and get some knowledge of what's hot on Lake Lanier right now. Y'all stay tuned, should be a pretty good one. Let's jump into it. Alright guys, to kick things off, I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all a little bit of summary of my day and kind of how it went down, and then in the second portion of the video, I'm gonna talk about my key setups and a few of the baits that really got it done for me this past weekend. So to start things off, we had a lot of really unexpected wind coming in that morning. It was blowing anywhere from 10 to 20 miles an hour, pretty much across the whole south end of the lake, and it made it really difficult to set up on some of those ditches and timber and just some of those offshore fish I had found the week previous. Definitely a little bit frustrating to know you have some of the right fish and you just can't get your bait to them, whether that be due to the boat positioning or seeing them on live scope, and all that just wasn't working out. So at about 10:45, 11 o'clock, I said, all right, I'm done with this. I'm gonna get out of the wind. I pulled in kind of on the back side of the island, just in some slack water, to just kind of maximize my time and really be able to throw at these fish and get some fish in the boat. Now at this point, my co-angler already had 3 fish, I believe, and I'm still sitting at 0, and I hooked the first one of the day on a shaky head. Now this fish is about 4.5 pounds and is coming all the way to the net. Everything's good, and just decides to pop off as soon as we almost get her in the net. So that was kind of a heartbreaker, but I took it as a positive. Actually, I said, all right, Brooks, you know where these fish are at. You got one really good bite that would have been a great addition to your bag. So I kept my head down in that area, and I was like, these fish are here. You just need to relax, maximize your time, and get a few of them in the boat. And I caught a couple more little 2-pounders, and I kept heading down in that area, and I caught the first fish of the day that I really wanted to weigh in, which was a 4 3/4 pound spot. That really changed my whole mentality of the day, knowing that I had one fish I could take to the scales and kind of got me pointed in the right direction. Now after that, I did catch another 3.5 pounder on a shaky head, so another pretty good limit fish at this point. I have one really good one, another 3-pounder, and then 3 little babies we had to get rid of. So I ran to another spot, and I was actually going to fish the ditch, and I don't want to say accidentally, but I pulled over a little bit shorter than I would just to look at this point. And when I looked up on the point, I saw a couple fish up there on live scope, and decided to turn the boat around and throw at a few of them. Threw to the first one, actually ate the shaky head, and it was about 4.5 pounds. So another really good fish. At this point, we have 2 that we're willing to weigh in, or wanting to. So that was a really good confidence booster, just to keep me heading in the right direction. So by nature, I spent a little bit more time on that point and actually threw a Nico rig to one I saw up there pretty shallow, and that was that 515, almost 6-pound spot. Once I caught that one, it kind of kicked me into overdrive. We had 3 really good fish, and a 3-pounder and a little 2-pounder we definitely had to get rid of. By that time, I kind of had my mental headspace a lot better. I was more calm, collected. I was really focused on what I was doing and able to fish with confidence, which is something you're always looking for in a tournament. So I kind of transitioned back out deeper into some of those timber areas and some of those ditches and caught another 4.5 pounder. So we got rid of that 2-pounder, and now I was sitting at about 22 pounds, and I knew if I had a shot at winning, I was gonna have to cull that last 3-pounder out, because on Lake Lanier, no matter what your weight is over 20, you're definitely not safe. And for my previous tournaments this year, if you have a 3-pounder in your bag, it's really gonna hurt you at the scales. So with about an hour left, I pulled up on another shallow kind of spawning point where I thought some of these bigger female spots were moving up to. Saw another one up there on live scope, flipped the Nico to her, and that was a 460. So at this point, I had just over 23 pounds and decided to make my way back up the lake with the wind and everything. And super fortunate to get the win this weekend in the BFL. It was an awesome day. I really wasn't expecting it, but the biggest takeaway that I kind of want to share with y'all is when you're fishing, say a tournament, or just out there fun fishing and things aren't clicking and nothing's going right, you're losing fish, you can't seem, you're not getting any bites, any feedback. The crazy part is you're probably just a few key bites away from having an incredible day, and that's what happened to me this past weekend. I mean, I didn't have a single fish in the boat at 11 o'clock with a 3 o'clock check-in. I mean, it's hard to think that things can go right at that point, and then losing that first really big fish, but having a strong mental side to fishing and just knowing that you have some of the right areas, you know what you're doing, and trusting your game plan is something that I stick to, and really kind of propelled me to get this win. I wasn't on some crazy bite or something super secretive. It was just being mentally strong enough to know that, hey, I know where these fish should be. They're going to bite at some point today. Just stay calm, stick with it, and sometimes it'll work out. But that's one thing that I want to kind of give to y'all is just the mental side of fishing is a lot more to it than, say, having a special bait that no one else has or having some kind of secret location. A lot of it is just time on the water and knowing, hey, it's going to happen eventually. You just got to keep your head up and just don't let those small things get to you, because a lot of times you're pretty close to having an incredible day, but something will happen and kind of throw you off. So without further ado, let's go and jump into a few of the setups, and then we'll end with a conclusion. So the first setup that I was primarily targeting some of these deep fish with was a spoon, just a generic Flex It chrome tape white spoon. Nothing too crazy there. I have that paired up on a 610 X Pride medium with a Shimano Metanium 7 1-to-1. This is an awesome setup when you see them below the boat or in front of the boat. You see schools of them roaming in those ditches or isolated targets, brush piles, anything like that. You can throw the spoon over there and get a lot of those fish to react in that deeper water. So that was my primary game plan, which I was able still to weigh one fish off of it once that wind kind of died down. So that was a really key fish that came on that spoon for me. And like earlier, we were talking about, this is my shaky head setup. Y'all have heard me talk incredible things about this rod. That is the NRX Plus 852S with a 2500 Stratic FL 10-pound braid to a 8-pound Seaguar leader, and just a stick style bait on a round ball shaky head. Simple as it gets, but a really effective bait. When you do see them up shallow, you can keep that bait right on their face until they eat it. So that was another really key setup for sure. And I did catch a few here and there on that Nico rig, like I was talking about. I actually don't have that rod rigged up anymore, but that's the kind of the same premise as that shaky head. Is just when you see those fish up there shallow, it's a bait you can throw to them and really just keep it in front of them for a long time and let them eat it. And one more setup that I caught a lot of fish in practice and a few smaller fish in the tournament. It's that same rod, the 852 NRX Plus. I use it for all my spinning rod finesse applications, like that Nico rig, shaky head, everything like that. That's paired up with a 3000 sustain. This is actually an MGL reel, so it has a little bit of a quicker startup inertia when you are flipping. That Demiki rig helps you hit them a little bit quicker, but that Demiki rig right there, that is a bad little shad head right there. Have that tied on a loop knot. Actually, that's a little sneaky thing that if y'all would want to see why I throw that knot on baits like this, I can do a separate video on that. And then just a soft style fluke bait right there, little 3-inch bait. Nothing crazy there, but that's another one that I throw at these fish when they're kind of set up higher in the water column. So hopefully those couple setups and kind of talking about the day and some different perspectives on tournament fishing is something y'all can incorporate out on Lanier or wherever you may be fishing. And those are the setups I got it done. Like I said, I'm super blessed to walk away with this win. I didn't think it was going to happen the way it did, but I'm super blessed that it did unfold in the way it did. But if y'all are interested in getting out on Lake Lanier on a guide trip and learning some of these techniques and kind of some of the locations to go and do this. I'd love to have y'all out. Y'all can check out my website down below, and for all the baits and gears we just talked about, head over to the Dugout and Bait and Tackle. They have all that in stock. They have a ton of the new Demiki plastics in stock, along with those bad little shad heads, shaky heads, worms, the rods. They got it all. Give those guys a shout out, and they'll definitely hook you up with whatever you need. But other than that, hope to see y'all in the next few videos. Thanks for following along. We should have a pretty cool spring season, and leave a like and subscribe if this helped you in any way. We'll see y'all.